die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Hey everyone. So today we're going to talk about a topic that's been probably discussed multiple times before, um, and we're just going to talk about it. I don't have a script. I don't have anything that to read from. Um, just casual talk. I hope you like this sort of stuff, sort of videos. Just show random pictures and media as we talk about, as stated in the title, superhero fatigue, which is superhero movies fatigue more specifically. And is it true? Is it something that is factual? Personally, I believe it is. I believe it is factual. And I think that we've reached a point where superhero movies are being done just for the sake of being done. There's no specific message or um, a lesson that you could learn from, or like a certain quotation, or saying that you can actually remember from these movies. At least for me, I've watched like a lot of these movies. I've liked some of them. I disliked a lot of them, and I'll give you just an example. The waiting period that we used to have while just sitting there and checking day by day when's the new movie coming out. I think it's become more and more diluted, more and more taken for granted, because of the abundance of these movies, and not just movies, and the series. I'll give an example with the Disney Plus, what they're using, and I get it. At the end of the day, these people, the people in the office, they just want to make more money, and there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're sending out a good message and a good um, thing for people to learn from kids to learn from. At the end of the day, these characters, uh, they serve like role models for kids specifically, and adults as well like them. And has this video, like what they actually stand for, and like there's no subliminal stuff that the media are trying to get to the people, and so on and so forth. Maybe have them for fun. I've always believed like these movies should be action packed. At the end of the day, they are comic book characters, and they should have a certain underlying goodwill message or a lesson that display the humanity of these superhero figures, and just bring them down to the casual fans. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. And I'll mention, like, I remember like waiting for a movie like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. I mean, the wait was amazing, absolutely amazing. And you can go and give other examples like Zack Snyder's Justice League, or Batman v Superman for those who like, or for those of you who liked it. And just an example like Batman and Robin, the final big screen exposure to Batman was Batman and Robin, live action wise. And the wait had to go from 1997, I believe, to 2005 when Batman Begins came out. Of course, you've had these comic book character movies that were presented uh, to the public during that time period. However, they weren't much under the comic book persona, like Blade, for example, or The Punisher. which are awesome movies, by the way. And then you just look at, for example, The Dark Knight, and you can even go back to Batman Begins. It was the initiator to what we have today, which showed that yes, good superhero movies can be done if you take certain aspect of humanity and certain aspect of realism a little bit serious and just try to add this comic book lore into it to come up with a perfect blend of a movie for adults and for children to enjoy as well. Unfortunately, um, the quality of superhero movies have gone really bad, I believe. And when you look at shows like I know She-Hulk or something like that, some of you might have enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't. I know from colleagues, friends, from people online as well. And that's unfortunate because you have these great characters that you can do so much with them, and then you have to trim them down because of PG content, because directors maybe probably not understanding the character well, or probably directors or writers trying too hard to imitate the comic, which is unfortunate. Um, you can always look at the Christopher Nolan formula, which is pure brilliance. He took this comic book idea of Batman Year One, Batman The Long Halloween, and Batman Nightfall, and he gave it a twist, a mature twist. He made the villains believable, and thus, when the hero, Batman, overcomes them, you believe more in him and more in his message, which is tremendous. On the contrary, when you have like um, the modern Marvel movies, when you have like you're guaranteed at the end of the movie that they will be stand triumphant and that they will make ridiculous jokes. They won't take the villain serious. The villain doesn't take himself or herself serious. Um, and you have like this all entire destruction or manipulation in time. But at the end of the day, you know that everything will be fine, everything will be okay because of the tone of the movie, which is really bad. On the other hand, when you looked at the Joker in The Dark Knight, you truly believed what he did, and his actions really had consequences, which carried into the next movie, The Dark Knight Rises.
You want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions. I just want my phone call.
That's the difference. And that's when you have this repeated formula. I will always mention Marvel because unfortunately this is what we have right now. We don't have much of a competition, a healthy competition, of course, not tribalism. When you look at their product right now, especially after Endgame, it's very much, um, dare I say, poor. When a certain movie tried to push the envelope with the um, with the new Doctor Strange one, I forgot its name. I think the Multiverse of Madness. When they tried to push the envelope and do daring things and kill off certain characters, it backfired on them because people got accustomed to certain way that these movies come out. And I think it's a great movie, by the way, Multiverse of Madness. For those of you who follow Doctor Fancast and DCM Multiverse and the DuckTales as well, you know I'm more into this stuff, the mature stuff that show the high stakes. I'll give you another example. Man of Steel, people just, I'll make a separate video on it, but just in summary, people just try to hammer it because they try to come up with stuff like script and Superman's suit and the destruction of the city and whatever. However, this movie did carry high stakes with it, and thus the end scene with Superman and Zod, but that's for another day. Another thing that I want to highlight here is the over reliance on bad CGI. Of course, you're going to rely on CGI in superhero movies, but the bad CGI is inexcusable. I'm sorry, it's inexcusable. I won't dwell much into that. I know you've noticed it, and I'll move forward on that. Just go beyond it. Again, the PG content, like I mentioned, it's as well over reliance on the PG content over the like when you looked at uh, the Dark Knight, the Joker did just stand there and make wisecracks and so on, but his actions were pretty violent. I'm not speaking about having blood splatter everywhere, but his actions were pretty violent and of seismic waves as well, of seismic matter. And even if you look at Jack Nicholson's Joker, he did some jokes, but he was this gangster, this underlying gangster who was ruthless, was awesome. And I'll give you an example. Even before Batman Begins, are the Marvel movies like Blade and The Punisher. I believe they came out. I believe The Punisher came out in 2003 or 2004, and Blade, the trilogy of Blade, especially the first two movies, they were excellent, excellent. And this is probably because they didn't function uh, under the umbrella of the MCU. The people like to call it the MCU, and you know, every time uh, you have certain fans of this MCU, and they don't know much about the comics. They don't know much about, or they haven't read actually the comic, and then they see something that's new, and then they say, "Oh, that would be great in the MCU," and then it would be actually like it would have existed for a long period of time in the comics. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. And something that I want to discuss as well in terms of superhero fatigue is the direction that these movies are going forward with. We have currently James Gunn taken the helm over at DC, and I hope he does a good job. I hope he does a tremendous job. Although at the end of the day, I still believe like Zack Snyder deserved the opportunity to finish what he tried to lay out. And I personally like his movies. I think they're good. I think they're dark. Yes, they are dark, and I like the tone overall for these movies. But I also like, for example, Superman, the Christopher Reeves Superman. I'm a fan of all of his movies except for Superman 3, and yeah, so you can make a good movie even if you're or like a movie with high stakes, even if you're shooting for a more lighter tone, as long as you don't crack wise jokes left and left and right. And I'm afraid that the new DC Universe movies will go towards that, but still, I'm hopeful that this won't be the case. The thing that's unfortunate here is that the 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 direct reliance on having a multiverse, and we can't do that. I think we need to focus on solo movies first. You can have guest appearance of certain characters, villains, heroes, or whatsoever, and then you just try to expand a little bit and make yourself distinctive than the dominant market, which is currently the MCU, as the people like to call it. And I still try to have hope in getting this superhero movies essence back. Um, Unfortunately, with the rise of streaming and uh, the quick releases in superhero movies, I think it's hard to get this sensation or this feeling back. But we'll remain hopeful. And so, yeah, as I said, this was a dialogue, a speech from the heart, no text, no script, nothing. And if you like this kind of thing, let me know. Thank you and have a good day.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. And I promise you, the dawn is coming.